Soon and very soon we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon we are going to see the King. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we are going to see the King.
My dear friends, my brothers and sisters, yesterday I heard a survey that I found very disturbing. There was a survey done in England, and the question was Jesus an historical person? And over the majority of people said that Jesus was not historical, that he was a myth. Can you believe this? In the land of St. Edward the Confessor, in the land of St. Thomas More, Gilbert Keith Chesterton, Cardinal Newman, all these great English saints and scholars, that over 50% of the people said that Jesus was not an historical figure. Can you believe that? I found it so disturbing. Think about this. This is 2015, almost over. And how do we record time? We record time on the birth of Jesus. You remember before it was politically correct, used to say BC, before Christ, AD, Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. Now they say BCE, before the Common Era, and CE, Common Era. Political correctness even comes in to dates. It's absolutely amazing. And we think about this, and you think about all time is recorded on Jesus. And they say a majority of people in England do not believe he was an historical figure. Deacon Kelly, could you go back to the gospel? And if you listen to the gospel, the opening.
In the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, when Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea, and Herod was tetrarch of Galilee.
I just want him to go through these names again.
Yeah. So I can mess it up again? And his brother Philip, tetrarch of the region of Iturea and Trachonitis, and Lysanias was tetrarch of Abilene during the priesthood, like Texas, of Annas and Caiaphas.
You see this? Why are those things there? Why are all those things there? Because this is the time in history when all this took place. And it's trying to show us in the gospel, St. Luke was an historian, and he's trying to show us that God intervened in history. God intervened. God walked into history as an historical person and lived on this earth and walked on this earth in a time in history. And that it's not a myth, but it's historical. And that's how the birth of Jesus came about. If you come to Mass on Christmas morning at midnight or whatever, you'll hear the same thing, giving us an historical background to the presence of God intervening in history. My brothers and sisters, you know what needs to happen again? You know what needs to happen again after what we've been through this past week? We need an intervention of God. Did you see the Daily News headline about 3 or 4 days ago? How many saw that headline? God can't fix this. Do you really believe that? God can't fix this? Think about that saying in the Daily News. Headlines, it caused a tremendous controversy. People were talking about it all week. Can God fix this? The only one that's going to fix this is God. And the only one that's going to fix the world situation is by God's intervention into this world today. The world needs God more than ever. This week, Father Ron and I and Father Gabriel heard about 400 confessions, 400 kids. We had them here all day Wednesday, 12:30, 1:30, 4 o'clock, and then on Saturday morning from 9:30 to 10:30. And we heard about 400 kids' confessions. Every kid that went to me for confession, you know what I said to them? Do you go to church? Do you go to church? Every kid, 400 kids. By and large, they said no. Then they said once in a while. And then about 5% said they go every Sunday. How can we change the world? How can God intervene if we don't go to church, if we don't go to church as family, and if we don't pray together as family? The world will never change if people remain so indifferent to their religion, to their faith base. And only thing will happen is radicals will continue in their way. We need to get on our knees as people of God. We need to come together as families to be together in church. It's an old saying, and you know it, families that pray together stay together. And we need to build up our family of faith in order to change the world. God will fix it if we ask God for his intervention. This year, December 8th, what's happening? It's the feast day of Immaculate Conception. Don't forget to go to church. It's a holy day of obligation. It's one of those days we gotta go. Holy day of obligation. And on that day, Pope Francis is doing something very unique. He's declaring a holy year, opening the doors in the Basilica of St. Peter. 6 churches in Brooklyn will be opened in a special way to pray for mercy in this world. What do we need? A heart filled with mercy, a heart filled with love for each other, a heart that's able to touch other hearts with the love of God. Advent passes very quickly. Next week, we're almost finished, and we need to turn to God. We need an intervention in history. We need God to work. We need to ask God for help. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened.